From the beautiful Finger Lakes region of upstate New York, this is the Dental Lighthouse Podcast. We take questions from anyone in the dental profession and discuss what it takes to win not only in dentistry, but in life. Business, leadership, relationships, parenting, health and wellness, money management, nothing is off limits on the Dental Lighthouse Podcast. I'm Jason Tenori, your host, and have over 20 years of experience to pull from. Learn from my mistakes and let me help you collapse time so you can become the best version of yourself. Yo! So I've never recorded a podcast in my car. Well, hold on. Let me rewind the tape. Dr. Jason here, Dental Lighthouse Podcast. I've recorded podcasts in my truck, but I've never done it to the audio quality that my editors yell at me about. So I'm trying it here. I got my little microphone on, as you can see, if you're watching the recording of this. So I hope this works, right? I'm actually heading to one of my offices with my operations person and our do-it-all facility manager person who, and we're thinking about what type of construction can we do at this office to add an operatory. I've made the mistake many, many times of what I thought was the optimal number of operatories. What we're coming to realize is that at a minimum, it should be 8. The sweet spot is at least 9. Most of my offices are designed to be 2-doctor, 4 hygiene offices, with the exception of my flagship, which is a 5-doctor, 10 hygienist office. Anyways, that's not the point of this podcast, or this musing or this rambling. I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference in initiation, consistency, and intensity. And the reason that this is important is I'm seeing it a lot with my one-on-one coaching clients. The last 2 weeks during our group coaching call, we've spoken specifically about this. And even in my personal life, with my weight loss journey, with my strength training journey, it's relevant. So let's just break down each one of these, and then I'll kind of give you some examples to maybe hit the point home. So what do I mean by initiation? Initiation, just get off your ass and start, right? I think, and again, I'm very guilty of this. So this is a no judgment conversation because I've been there, but way too often we spend so much time analyzing. And I always get the quote wrong, but it's paralysis by analysis or the other way around, whatever it is. But we just spend so much time and energy on analyzing the situation instead of actually initiating some type of action. And I know for me, I've been guilty of it with strength training routines. I've been guilty of it with diet and exercise. I've been very guilty of it at work, where I have mounds of data and I'm poring over it, and I'm paralyzed because I don't know what to do. So I'm seeing this a lot, especially with clients as they try to figure out their budgets for next year. And the best thing to do, only every single time, is obviously do your due diligence, but then you have to act. And you don't have to act in a way that's going to, bet the farm, or you put all of your chips in. But man, just act. So a simple work-related example of this is setting up a budget, right? So some of my clients have never set up a budget. They've never done projections. And instead of them just using my simple formula to calculate adjusted production or revenue and throwing some budgetary guidelines on it, they're like lost in the weeds about, well, what about this? Or what about this? Like, good questions, but just start it, just do it. And then let's see what happens. And then we can react to it. Don't fall into the trap of, it's not perfect. It'll never be perfect. So you're hurting yourself by your paralysis, I want you to start acting. I want you to take some action. And again, for me, I would pour over the best diet, the best macros, the best strength training regimen, and literally like spend weeks analyzing and trying to configure what the best is, only to have lost those weeks because I hadn't started. So my advice to you is do a little bit of due diligence, go with your gut, reach out to an advisor, a fitness coach, a business coach, a leadership coach, if you need some help, and then just get to work, initiate action. So that's the first thing. The next thing is once you initiate action, I want to make sure that you are controlling the intensity. And that's what I mean by consistency over intensity. And it's easy, again, to use this example in the context of dieting or exercising. A little bit harder to use this example in the context of your dental practice or your professional days, but I'll try to connect the dots. You know, if you're 20 pounds overweight and you know you need to lose weight, if you haven't picked up a barbell or a dumbbell or a kettlebell in a long time and you know you need to do it, don't go nuts when you start. It reminds me of James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, which is a must read if you haven't read it. If you don't like to read, he's got a number of podcasts and clips on YouTube that can get the point across. He does a great interview with one of my other mentors from afar, Pastor Craig Groeschel, so you can search that. But he believes in the 2 rule is if you want to start running, don't sign up for a half marathon. Just walk to the end of your driveway and back. Just jog to the end of the block and back. Start small. Don't analyze, going back to implementation or initiation, don't analyze the program. Just start. And as you start, as you act, as you do it slowly and with not a ton of intensity, but with a ton of consistency, the answers will start to appear. So if you need to lose 20 pounds, don't go on a 5-day water fast. Simply eat more whole foods. Simply get a little bit more protein in. And then a few weeks later, you'll find like, well, maybe I should start to track my macros a little bit. Maybe I should do limit desserts, alcohol per week. Like the things that when you're in the whirlwind, but trying to figure them out before you even initiate any movement, at least based on my lived experience, is a recipe for disaster. So let's rewind the tape. First thing I need you to do is initiate action. Okay. You've done a little bit of due diligence. You've talked to a coach. You've watched some videos. Just start. Okay. And then the next thing I need you to do is start small, with the emphasis being on consistency and not intensity. When I start a strength training workout or a routine, I should say, I'm not trying to kill myself day one. I'm slowly but surely getting the work done, consistency. And as I'm feeling better and better about myself, ramping up the intensity, but not ever getting to an intensity that causes burnout. We'll talk about that in a second. So how can we relate consistency to your work environment? Well, over the last 2 weeks, we've been talking a lot in our group coaching call about the unbelievable value of a regular cadence of check-ins between the founding doctor and the office manager, or the founding doctor and the operations person. And when I get on the phone or a Zoom call with some of my clients, OMs and operations persons, the number one complaint I hear is a lack of communication, a lack of clarity on expectations, a lack of what the founding doctor wants. These are good people, these OMs and directors of operations. These are really good people, and they want to serve their doctor well. But I can see it in their face that they lack clarity with what their doctor wants. And you guys have heard me say it before. One of my favorite John Gordon quotes from his book, The Power of Positive Teams: in the absence of communication, people will automatically fill it with negativity. So when you're not having consistent conversations with your ops person or your office manager, and they are wondering what you want, they are wondering what they are supposed to do, they're going to fill that void with something that's probably not right. And it's not because they're malicious. It's because they don't know any better. So what we've been talking about a lot is a practice that me and my operations person, Amy, have been doing now for a couple of years, is we have a daily 10-minute check-in. And actually, let me rewind the tape even more. It started with a consistent weekly check-in of 45 minutes to an hour where we would hash out everything from the week. And it was good. That was the initiation. That was me starting to act. That was Amy starting to act. And then we started to continuously do that, consistently do that. And then we realized, now that we're acting and now that we're consistently doing that, we needed to ramp up the intensity. So what we decided to do was to meet every day, either in person or via phone or via Zoom, for 10 to 15 minutes. And that 10 to 15 minutes of me communicating to her what's on my mind, her communicating to me what's on her mind, little fires that have come up the day before, hashing them out, coming up with a strategy, it has been a godsend, because I don't have to wait until my weekly meeting with her. I'm no longer sending her text messages and emails and Slack messages in the middle, not the middle of the night. I'm sleeping in the middle of the night, but you guys have all been there. It's 8:00 at night. You're watching a show with your spouse on Netflix, and all of a sudden you're on the side texting your office manager about things that are on your mind. Like, all of that stuff goes away because you know you're going to be on a call with your office manager or your operations person the following morning at 8 a.m., at over lunch, whenever it is. So I know some of you are like, well, I don't have time for that. And I get that. I'm sure you're busy. I'm sure you're working 4 days a week clinically. I'm sure you're working 5 days a week clinically. You got a lot of stuff going on with your family. There's always time. I just had a coaching client from Tennessee who truly doesn't have the time. But in talking to his office manager about how valuable this exercise is, they've decided to get on the phone on their commute in. So at 7:30, he calls her, records it. It's a 10-minute conversation. They hash all their shit out, and then they roll in the morning meeting at 7:40. Like, there's a way to do it. Don't worry about perfecting it. Just initiate it and then consistently do it. It'll be a game changer for you. So again, we're talking about initiation. We're talking about consistency. And now I want to talk about intensity. Intensity is a very fine line in the sand. It's an area where you can ramp up the intensity until it stops. Again, I'll frame it from a exercise and diet perspective first, and then we can take it to your professional lives. And again, sometimes I need to experience this myself in order to really understand it. But I would rather experience it myself through action than through analysis and research before I start anything. So okay, most of you guys know I'm really into strength training. So what I've decided to do over the last couple of months, I consistently strength train 4 days a week. But instead of doing 3 sets per muscle group, per movement, and leaving 1 or 2 in the tank, so that's what they say. So what I'm basically saying is, if I'm going to do push-ups, let's say, and I'm capable of doing 25 push-ups, and then I can't do a 26th. What I was doing was 20 push-ups. So I would leave a few in the tank. I would leave a few in reserve. And the mindset there was, if I don't take things to failure, if I don't ramp up my intensity to redlining, to max, then I'll still have some energy to do my next set and what have you. So that was always the mindset I've used. And over the last few weeks, actually month maybe, I've decided I'm going to lower the sets. So instead of doing 3 sets per body part, I will do 2, but I will take those sets to absolute failure. So what am I doing? I'm still being consistent, but I'm ramping up the intensity. And in theory, I'm like, okay, yeah, let's try this. Let's see what happens. And what's happening is I'm getting burnout. What's happening is I'm really sore that day and the next day. What's happening is I find myself needing more breaks, or what we call deloads, breaks from my strength training. And do I want that? And it's a conversation I have to have with myself. The answer is no. Like, I would rather err on the side of less intensity if it means that my consistency will be there, versus more intensity and it causes me to scale back, or it causes me to take a break. I don't want to take a break. One of my first mentors was Brian Johnson, and one of his mindsets was like, in terms of habit development, it's okay to miss one day, but never miss 2. So I don't want to be in a situation where I need to take a sustained break on some of these things because my intensity was ramped up too much. So how does that relate to your work environment? Well, again, just talking about the cadence of meeting with your OM. If you feel like a 10-minute check-in is manageable every other day, and things are going well, then great, do that. Don't automatically turn it into a half-hour check-in every day. Now, there might be the need for that every now and then, but most likely not. So it's the mindset of, if it's good, then it's good. Like, you don't have to push the envelope if good is doing the job. When I was leaving 4 or 5 in the tank for my strength training, that was good. And it was doing the job. I was getting stronger. I was able to recover. But the alpha in me was like, well, let me just take the intensity up. And it's fine that I went through that experience. But I learned from that experience is it causes burnout. So if you're going to consistently act, awesome. And if it's sustainable, awesome. But don't take it to a point of intensity where it causes you to burn out. What are some other examples of this? And again, it comes down to all of these situations that I talk about with you guys are based on my coaching clients and my group coaching and stuff like that. Like, these aren't just things that I make up in my head. It's my own lived experience. It's my coaching clients that are one-on-one and the ones in the group. So what's an example? Again, most of you guys know that we're talking about projections for 2026, and we're talking about budgetary numbers and stuff like that now. So I'll have a doc in our group say, my wages for 2025, my wage expense for 2025, not including the doctors, is 33%. And I know that I need to work on that. And I know that the industry average is 20 to 25%. So my goal for the first quarter is going to be 25%, right? That's too intense. Like, you're setting yourself up for failure. It's not sustainable. So when someone tells me they have a 33% wage expense as a percentage of collections, and they're going to ramp up the intensity and set a goal of 25%, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting you and your team, depending on how transparent you are with your numbers, up for failure. So what I coach is, let's set a first quarter goal of 31%, 31.5%. Like, what can we do to get it from 33 to 31? That's a sustainable bullseye to try to hit. We can do some micro things. We can train up the hygienists and the assistants not to stay so late at the end of the day. Maybe we need to show them better ways to manage their notes throughout the day. We can ramp up production just a little bit. We can do a few other things, maybe a little bit of same day treatment, maybe a little bit of setting up guidelines with when people can punch in and punch out, maybe setting up guidelines that we have to take a mandatory off the clock lunch. Like, all of these little things are not going to get you from 33 to 25, but they should get you from 33 to 31. So we consistently do that. And then after the first quarter, we realized that we were winning. And then now we can actually add a few other things to the mix to get from 31 to 29. This is so important because it's sustainable and scalable. When you just say, F this, we're an underproducing office. And even though we did $1 million this year in 2025, I'm setting my goals on $2 million in 2026. Let's go get it. Like, what does that even mean? Like, sometimes when I do vision work with people, they have these, I don't even want to call them lofty, because I don't think there is any goal that's too lofty. It just depends on how you're going to get there. So if you're a single doc with 2 hygienists, even 3 hygienists, a couple assistants, and you're doing like $1.2, $1.3 million a year, and then all of a sudden you say to me, Jason, I need to get to $2 million next year. That's my goal. Like, I'm going to say to you, awesome. I love the fact that you actually have a written goal, but how do you expect to get there? It's not going to just happen haphazardly. Are we bringing on another associate? Are we going to expand our clinical hours? Are you going to expand your clinical skill set? Like, these are the things that you need to do to make that jump, right? So again, I don't have a problem with a ridiculous jump, but I do have a problem with you setting a crazy, ridiculous jump as a goal, but not having a strategy to get there. Now, if you're not going to make any crazy moves, like bring on an associate or bring on more hygienists, then I think like a 5%, 7% jump is realistic. But when you set unrealistic goals, when you set intense goals, like taking my payroll wages from 33 to 25, like I'm going to ramp up production from 1.2 to 2 million without a plan, you're setting yourself up for failure. And that's the worst feeling in the world, is setting a goal and not hitting it, and not hitting it because it was a haphazard goal. It was a goal that was set without a plan. It was a goal that was set without a strategy. So again, I'm just about to pull into my office here. So I want to just make sure that I'm going over this one more time. 3 things that we're talking about here today: initiation, consistency, and intensity. And just in summary, get off your ass. And I'm saying this in the most loving way. Get off your ass and start to act. Stop analyzing the situation another day, another week, another month. Act. Now, don't act in a way that you put all your chips on the table, or that if it's the wrong action, you lose everything. Start slow, but just act. Once you decide to act, consistently do it. If you're going to start to consistently modify your diet, do it small at first. Make sure the intensity is low. Going from a bad diet to a 5-day water fast is too intense. Going from a bad diet to, okay, 80% of my food is going to be whole food, a clean food, and 20% can still be processed food. That's a good, manageable jump, right? Once you do that, once you act for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, new questions will start to come, and you can start to make decisions on how you want to continue to do that. If you want to run, if you want to strength train, start slow, do body weight stuff, talk to a coach about what exactly you should do, but just start. Don't spend hours analyzing what the perfect program is. Once you start, and once you have a program for a couple days, a couple weeks, you'll start to figure out how to ask better questions and how to make this a little bit more beneficial for you. And then on the other side of it, don't redline. Don't set intensity goals that are unmanageable, that are going to burn yourself out and your team out. Don't set dietary goals that are unmanageable. Don't set exercise goals that are unmanageable. Don't set revenue and expense goals that are unmanageable. Don't set meeting cadences that are unmanageable. Another great example, right? Many of you guys know that I am super intense about the value of one-on-one check-ins with our teams. And I feel that everything is based off the relationship. If these employees, these team members don't have an opportunity to be heard, don't have an opportunity to be loved on by their team lead, then a lot of things happen, need versus wants. I actually talked about this a little bit on a podcast I dropped a couple weeks ago with Dental Nachos, Paul Goodman. So go back and listen to that. But I have docs that understand what I'm saying, who have never done a one-on-one. They have 12 people on their team, no accountability chart, no leaders in place. So they say, you know what? You're 100% right, Jason. I'm going to start doing monthly one-on-ones for everybody. It's too much. It's too much to go from no one-on-one communication to 12 one-on-ones on a monthly basis. That's too intense. So I love the fact that you now want to act, and I hope that you can consistently do it, but make sure the intensity is not out of the gate something that's not manageable. So what would I do in that situation? Over a month, I would set up a series of one-on-ones that are a half hour to 45 minutes. And then instead of doing it every month, I would start doing it every quarter. And as I'm doing it every quarter, I'm setting up an accountability chart, an organizational chart within my office of determining who could be some team leads, who could take some of these one-on-ones off of my plate. And then in 6 months, maybe we go to monthly one-on-ones because we've started to figure some shit out. And now you as the doc can do the clinical one-on-ones in the back. Maybe that's 7 people. And your front desk lead, office manager can do the administrative ones. So don't fret over that during the analysis phase. Just start to act, do it consistently, and do it in a way with mild intensity to start, so you can eventually ramp it up, and then you'll realize how high or how much intensity you can get to before you start the red line. Hope this helps, guys. Again, just some things that have been on my mind and on my heart that have been conversations for a lot of my coaching clients. So this is helpful for you. Please feel free. I would ask, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. It really means a lot to me, and it gets this content in front of other docs who I think could benefit from it, helping me fulfill my purpose of collapsing time for others. And if you feel that this content could relate to someone in your life, dental, non-dental, if you have a spouse that's struggling with developing an exercise or diet plan, or if you have someone that's maybe takes it a little bit too intense, or on the other side of it, if you have someone that really just doesn't act, but just analyzes everything, maybe share this with them if you thought there was value in it to help them kind of get over the hump. So feel free to reach out to me anytime. My contact information is on our website, thedentallighthouse.com. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you. That wraps up another episode of the Dental Lighthouse podcast. You have a choice today. Choose to be a lighthouse. Lighthouses are powerful and steadfast. They are beacons of light for others to reference when life gets turbulent. Go out into the world today and become a lighthouse for someone. Give more than you get. True joy comes from serving others. Start today. I'm Jason Tenori, your host. Thank you for listening to the Dental Lighthouse podcast. For more information, podcast show notes, or links to anything that we have discussed today, please check out our website, thedentallighthouse.com. We would love to hear from you. If you would like to get on the show, please email us at podcast@thedentallighthouse.com.